All right, so for this one, it says the graph of the function f is shown. So we have a graph here. Probably as you're sketching this out in your notes, with these exponential functions, I always like to have a couple of points of reference, right? So this point right here, make sure that you have it cross at -2, 0, right? That's the x-intercept. And then the y-intercept appears to be at 0, +2, okay? So as you're sketching, just kind of label those so we know what's going on. Also, it appears to have a horizontal asymptote at y equals -1. So we're going to say y cannot equal -1 because remember that there's asymptotic behavior in these exponential functions. Then they give us a function g that's represented in the table, and then we're supposed to make some sort of comparison between the two. All right. So it's kind of hard to do, but we have to think about what's the difference between them. Well, first of all, I noticed that the intercepts are here, right? So when y equals 0, this is the x-intercept. So that's one thing that's different. And when x equals 0, that's the y-intercept. So that's another thing that's different, okay? The other thing that's interesting is the end behavior. So as x increases on this one, right, this is x equals 2, y equals 2, 26. So for g of x, if I compare that to f of x, in fact, I could label these. In fact, let's label a couple of these points. When x equals -2, my y value is -2/3. So that's about right here. And when x equals -1, it's going to cross about right here at 0. It has the same y-intercept, but when x equals 1, y equals 8. So that's going to be this point here. So g of x kind of looks like this. And when x equals 2, it's 26, which is way off the graph. Now, I don't know. I don't have any additional information. I don't know if it's going to cross this or not based on the table of values. So if I compare the two functions, g of x to f of x, I'm going to assume it probably does something similar like this. Well, what could I say? Well, I could say they have the same I could say they have the same y-intercept. I know that. And even though the behavior is different, when we think in terms of as x approaches positive infinity, in other words, as we go from left to right, both of them, both f of x and g of x, go towards positive infinity as well. In other words, they both go up. They both blow up quickly. G of x blows up a little quicker, but they both go towards positive infinity. So how do I word that? And they have the same, in math we call it end behavior. And just to clarify, as x approaches infinity. Okay? So as x approaches infinity, both y values also approach positive